Alright, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session we had support at 47 to 49, and in the recap I mentioned that ideally the buyers now hold ETH above that zone. 49 ended up being the overnight low, and at this point ETH has been bouncing in a very narrow range above that support. So continuing that idea, ideally if we are going to get that strong upside break, then the market holds above the 47.75 to 49.75 pre-market support zone now. And even better would be if we actually held yesterday's VPOC of 51.5. Holding above that would actually just confirm that we're seeing strength on the buy side, and we can push through the all-time high and make an extended move up towards 1860 to 62 quarter and 66 quarter to 68 quarter. Now above the all-time high, there is no hard resistance. These are simply areas where we can target a long setup, we can take some profit, but these are not hard resistance zones where we're looking to short the market. A break through all-time highs tells us that initiative buyers are active in the market, and we don't want to fade that price action because sometimes it can go a bit further than we anticipate. And if the volume picks up, there's really nothing in the way of this, right? It's simply going to stop where the market hits an exhaustion point, and that'll be dependent on the momentum and volume in real time, and that's a bit tough to really predict an exact price where the S&P is going to stop. So it's better to use the zones as profit targets, as objectives, and rather than using them as areas to short. Now on the downside, pre-market support 47.75 to 49.75, pretty key area at this point in order to get that upside breakout. But we have a lot of econ reports out in the first 30 minutes. Chicago PMI, consumer sentiment, and I believe the new home sales or existing home sales out at 9 a.m. Central. So we have a few econ reports out, and sometimes that can result in a little bit of chop or a little bit of extra volatility. So ideally we do want to see it hold this pre-market support zone, but a quick break below it wouldn't necessarily tell us that sellers are in control. You can always get a false breakdown and then the S&P rallies to the upside. So sellers have to break below that zone and really hold it below pre-market support in order to even have a shot at gaining control. And then we have support at 41.5 to 43.5, where buyers can still step in and push S&P back up towards 51.5 and potentially towards the all-time high. So 41.5 to 43.5 is really the main support zone, where as long as the market holds above it, we can still see buyers in control. But short term, that pre-market support is going to give us a pretty good idea of how strong the market is, and if it's strong the way we think it is, then it should hold even that the pre-market support zone. The downside, I'm not really seeing a big liquidation scenario play out right now, but if we broke 41.5 to 43.5 with any kind of momentum and volume, then you want to be cautious on the long side, because then we could get a move down to the 34 quarter gap and potentially a bit lower. Now that would be a pretty extended range, and again, I'm not expecting it to break down that much, but if we break 41.5 to 43.5, then we have to be open to that idea. But so far, the S&P is in a very defined balance. It's balancing in a very narrow range near the top of the overall balance right now, and typically this results in an upside breakout. So that's the main scenario that we're going to focus on, and we just have to give the benefit of the doubt to the buy side until we see some very clear signs that sellers are stepping in a bigger way. So those are really the main ideas on the day. Let's see how well we hold up at pre-market support and 51.5, and we'll take it from there.